Okay. Tom, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Very good.
How are you?
I am also quite well, thank you. Actually, I'm very well. So,
I see that the offerings from Losang are still fresh
yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
altar.
They stay here for 2 weeks
Wow.
because it's these 2 weeks of Cherishing, which is the days of miracles. It's like 15 days that the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, he showed miracles in Shravasti in order to, because there were some other scholars around who were teaching things that would, that would bring people into lower states or bad existences that wasn't very ethical and stuff, but they had a lot of success. So then in order, the Buddha showed kind of miracles because, yeah, anyway, so this is what is these first 15 days of the Tibetan New Year. One can do quite a lot of practices. So for example, we're doing Shakyamuni Buddha Puja every day until Saturday. So Saturday is Cherishing. So don't forget, everything you do that is positive increases by 100 million times. I guess also the negative. So it's, I don't know, with these numbers and all this, and then it sounds like, oh, I only practice 10 because I'm calculating. No, but you practice these days, and then it does seem, when you start doing it, actually, these special days, and it seems as if somehow, maybe because many people are practicing, or I don't know what it is, it seems like your other Dharma practice goes better. It becomes easier. I know that many people can't relate to pujas, but like doing these rituals, praising the Buddha, making these offerings, and all these kind of things. So this with pujas, you will not reach enlightenment, that's for sure. But by doing pujas, by doing all these offerings with a lot of joy, one thing is, it's very joyful. Doing puja, singing, you have no clue what you're doing. It doesn't matter. You don't need to understand. It's so relaxing in a way. If you don't have this need to be able to understand everything you're doing. And then slowly, with time, you start to understand that these pujas are working on your subtle mind. They're not working on the intellect. Yeah, but psychologically, they're really very cleverly built up to work on your, I don't know, how to say, maybe in psychological terms, I have no idea. But it really shifts something, because like now, as I said, we started last Friday, and we do this Shakyamuni Buddha Puja every day. And it has become a little bit like a retreat, and it's really very joyful when we do it. So, I don't know, it's probably also subjective, it's like it's different for many people. But for example, if you're totally stuck and you don't know what to do and you're almost despairing, but sitting down and doing a puja, this you can always do when you have access to these practices. And in order to have access, it's good to have practiced them before. Yeah. Do you see what I mean? So this is why the offerings are still there. But the fruits and, the other stuff, fruits, flowers, and all this, I change. I change regularly. And also the water bowls. And then the big day will be Saturday, where again in the morning, we take precepts. Then we read the Sutra of the Three Jewels. Then people can at home read the Sutra of the Golden Light, which it says by reading it, one can create like peace if many people read it. And what else are we doing? Then Shakyamuni Buddha Puja, then Medicine Buddha Puja, and then we do a light offering in the evening. So the whole day will be filled with practices. And it's great because on Zoom, then people who want to practice, doesn't matter where they are, they can just turn on their computer. So it's quite nice, because we're still closed. We're having kind of, not more than 5 people are allowed to come to the center. So then we said, okay, we close, and then it's clear, and so nobody has to worry about anything. So that's for the offerings, Tom. And they keep, we can even, you know, as I said, the Tibetans eat these kapses until May, so it's okay. This doesn't matter. Do you still need to say something, or can I just start?
Anila, I want to ask if you can repeat what time it will be, the puja, what day and time?
Which puja?
What you were talking about?
Oh,
now?
Cherishing. Well, we take precepts at 6 o'clock in the morning, which is 7 o'clock your time. It's the 8th Mahayana precept. And that's the only thing that will be in English. The rest will be in German. So do you know German?
Okay.
You speak German?
No.
Yeah, so
few words.
So the Shakyamuni Buddha Puja, we did in English the other day, and the English version is very long. It lasts 3.5 hours, but it's really beautiful because what it does, it tells quite a bit about the previous lives of the Buddha when he was a Bodhisattva and all the hardships that he endured, like, you know, like people harming him, people wanting to kill him, or even taking away all the things. And it tells the story how he not only did not harm them back, but that he actually helped them. So then, you know, it shows us when we sometimes, especially now that we are discussing patience, that we sometimes have doubts whether we should get angry and we should do something and we should yell at the person and da. Then when you read the stories of the Buddha, how he became a fully enlightened being, meaning being freed from all suffering and the causes of suffering, you cannot get angry if you want to attain enlightenment. Yeah, so it kind of again confirms a little bit this whole thing about you know, in order to attain full awakening, one needs to have a lot of merit, and that implies like 100% ethical conduct and really wanting to help all beings, whether they hurt you, whether they harm you, whether they help you, whether they are helpful or not. So it's quite inspiring. And then also we see that we have a long way to go, but it's okay, you know, it is okay. And I think it really does create a lot of merit, like merit in the way it gives us the positive energy to accept these teachings as something acceptable. Because very often, you know, in the world, these kind of teachings are not acceptable. Take, you know, when somebody's harming you, taking the blame upon you, saying, well, it's my fault and all this. Like for ordinary beings, when they hear this sounds sick. What's wrong with you? You know, it's not your fault. You should fight and you should, you know, like this. So it's totally different from what the world thinks. But don't forget, it's not to attain happis in this life. It is to attain a state which is free from all suffering. Yeah, this is what we very often mistake, you know. Like we want to, like, for example, also what sometimes we do, we're listening to these teachings and then we don't really apply them to ourselves because we think we are totally okay already. Yeah. But it's only when you study these teachings and look at these verses, like when you look at these verses again and again and again, and you have awareness, you know, like the whole thing is talking about these methods and all this. If we are not able to watch our mind when we are in the situation, we think we're quite okay. It is only when you have this ability to watch your mind in the situation without feeling ashamed, without exaggerating, without feeling bad about yourself, because then again, the ego takes over and then, you know, we don't really see clearly. But to really see how not rational we are when the mind is in that state, how totally we exaggerate, and to see this this wish to harm the other person also, you know, when we talk about anger. And for that, you need awareness to watch your mind when you are in the situation. After the situation is like, you know, because you don't have the experience anymore, you just have the memory of it. Yeah, and that's difficult. Okay, so with the pujas, you create, as I'm saying, you create the positive energy that we are able to do these very, very difficult things. Yeah. And we are learning these things not to tell others what they should do with their delusions and whatever. We are learning this in order to work with our own mind. Yeah. Okay. So we do some awareness meditation to train.
I'll just, if it's okay, I'll just say briefly that I want to welcome everyone to the.
Yeah, you can welcome everyone. That's fine.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the rest, it's nobody new. Anybody who is on, except there's only one person watching Hebrew. I don't know who that is, but all the others have been here before. So, but welcome them. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So I'd like to welcome. I'll do it short. I welcome everyone to this teachings by Annie Losang from the book of the Shantideva's. Sorry. About patience, and I'll just post here briefly my contacts for anyone who wants to have questions or suggestions, and also some important sites that might be helpful. The YouTube site, the YouTube channel of the Dharma Friends Israel, and also the website where you can find lots of other activities and forums like this one. And also, I would like to say thank you and express our gratitude for Amina for teaching us for so long. It's been almost a year now.
Yeah, right.
And hopefully it will continue for many more times. And
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll continue until I'm the only, until it's only two of us, you and me. Okay. We'll see anyway. So for the moment, for me, it feels okay. If it feels okay for you, then that's fine. Okay, yeah. So we just make sure we sit with a straight back. Oh, thank you, Gidi. So I must have been new with the Hebrew letters. So we sit with a straight back, totally relaxed but awake. Try to bring these two aspects into your meditation, concentrated, relaxed, but awake. And then, for the awareness, it's good for the mind to have an object, like be it the breath, so that you just notice in breath, out breath, or your body posture also you can, or the body feelings, the sensations in the body, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So that's fine. Don't jump around too much, but it's good to take something that you feel comfortable with, and that can change from meditation to meditation. That's fine. But so if you're very tired and very distracted, I think just the body posture is good. Or, if you have your breath, then be at the nose, because that wakes you up a bit. And as you breathe in, you can, for example, think that you're breathing in very cool, fresh light. And as you breathe out all distraction, tiredness, fogginess in the form of smoke or fog. This you can do. Or if you want, because we've been talking about Tonglen quite at length also, you can train shamatha with Tonglen, not to be too elaborate, and really think about it, but just, okay, I'm taking in the bad stuff and I'm giving out the good stuff. Kind of, I'm not afraid, may whatever wants to come, let it come. And whatever good I have, I want to share. So this is how you start to train Tonglen. Bad in, good out. Bad in, good out, like this. If it seems too frightening, then don't do this. Or otherwise, just do very simple kind of being present in that moment, not the next moment, only this moment. And then when the mind maybe has become quite calm, if it hasn't become calm, don't worry. But then we think about motivation, why we are studying this text. So, again, the best way is to think about your values and our potential that we have to be able to live these values. So maybe remember the homework of last week that I asked you to rejoice when you see something good and somebody is well. And so maybe remember that again and check the state of your mind and try to explore that. How does it feel? How is your face? How is your chest? How is your body temperature? How are your muscles? Are they tense? Are they relaxed? When you think about your good sides and the well-being of somebody else, for example. And then try to keep that experience with shamatha, with this, not really concentration, but just with this awareness. Because from neuroscience, then we know when we are able to be aware of these moments and we're able to keep them, then the neurons make new connections in the brain. Like they fire together and then they will wire together, but it takes a while. We have a tendency to always get stuck in the negative things. So now think about something that you can rejoice about, something that you're grateful for. Without shame, without feeling, arrogant or whatever. Something you did that was good, or the well-being of somebody else that you like. And just put your awareness on that sensation. When it fades away, then you just bring it back. And this is how you do analytical meditation. You see, the lamas, they said one makes the mind familiar with something by, repeating it. And when you get a sensation for it, like some kind of an aha feeling, then you put your shamatha on it. Now, neuroscience would say that new neurons will make new connections, and then they will start to wire. It becomes firm, almost like a realization. And this is how we can change habits. Takes a while. So again, try to get this feeling of being grateful, knowing your values, knowing that you're able to live these values from time to time, feeling inspired by having this potential. Or if it's too difficult to do it yourself, you do it with somebody else. A spiritual teacher, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Geshe-ma, Klein Svensson, people that you know personally, people that you see as an inspiration. And go from the head to the heart. When the feeling fades, bring it back. Don't get distracted in thoughts. Okay, so then when we become aware of what kind of values we would like to live, what kind of potential we would like to develop, then we think, what is a good way to do this? So as a Buddhist, that would be trusting the methods of the Buddha. In order to trust them, you need to know them, you need to try them out. Then if you do not consider yourself a Buddhist, then still it is good. What kind of means, what kind of methods do I follow in order to be able to live these values and develop these potentials? So this is called taking refuge. Trusting a method, having a certain path or a certain way. And then the reason why we're doing this in Mahayana Buddhist terms, in order to be of benefit to all sentient beings. Now again, don't get afraid. This is just the goal. This is the training. We are training so that very spontaneously, very naturally, uninterruptedly, we can be of benefit to all sentient beings, whoever comes into our presence. So that would be the reason why we want to develop these potentials, why we want to live these values, not just for my sake, because then the meaning of my life is very, very small, but for the benefit of whoever comes into my presence. Okay, so in Buddhist terms, in Mahayana Buddhist terms, this would be called, taking refuge. So of course you have like a formula that says, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, by practicing the 6 perfections like generosity and so forth. May I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. So then you know exactly what you want. But the problem with these formulas is that sometimes we just go blah, 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 and there's absolutely no sensation. So it doesn't really transform our mind. Yeah. So, but then for you also, it's good to see, where is my refuge? Where do I put my mind when I'm not well, or when I want to develop further? What method do I trust? And when we trust it, then we also apply it, isn't it? Okay. So then again, like always, this is more, it's not so much me teaching you, but it's more like a study group or a discussion group, whatever you want to call it. And so you are very welcome at any time to open your microphone and say something. I see there is a chat. The YouTube channel. Okay. Okay. So we stopped, I think, we stopped at verse 80, didn't we? Saying, having generated the awakening mind through wishing all beings to be happy. So this is what we train, this is what this text is all about. So that we train to be awakened, to have the skills to help others, and to wish all beings to be happy, not just the ones that we like. And then so he's asking himself, why should I become angry if they find some happiness themselves? Because this is what we're doing. He's going into these verses then a bit more elaborate afterwards. So the homework was that you rejoice when somebody is well. Did you do that? Maybe we should make a WhatsApp group, and I should send you a reminder every day or something, or every hour. Rejoice, 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 rejoice. One can think, well, there's not many things to rejoice about. There's more things that are really difficult, but I don't think so. If we look, the problem is, I think we take everything for granted. And then when we don't have it, then we start to miss it. Yeah, but we don't appreciate it when we do have it. Yeah.
I tried this week
Yeah.
to rejoice about small things.
Yeah.
Like first that I have a warm house when it was raining.
Okay.
And when I was tired at work, I rejoiced that I have a work, because a lot of people don't have.
Yeah, right.
All things like that.
And then what happened?
It was nice. I liked it.
Well,
I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, the word rejoicing has the word joy in it, because Dharma practice also becomes very heavy if you're not joyful, because we're so heavy sometimes. Yeah, and then we wonder why it doesn't work. So these little things, it can become, you know, we train, and then it can become a habit, and then you put your, you know, when you say, Noah said, well, I liked it, but then as we did in the meditation, you put your awareness in it, and then maybe now neuroscience, I don't know, you know, I'm just repeating what neuroscience says. I've never seen these neurons firing or whatever. I've seen cartoons how this is happening, but I have no idea. But I trust these people who tell me these things, or the books I read or the articles I read, because it makes sense. But it could be that it's not true. I don't know. But so, you know, the word meditation means making the mind familiar with something, like making the mind familiar with, not intellectually, but more on a, I made me even more aware of the attention I pay for the negative ones. Yeah, so change. This is the thing, you know. We have some mental strengths and some mental force, and we go and look. And as Rick Hansen says, and I think Yael, you said it, yeah, our mind is trained, or our mind for the negative things is like Velcro, and for the positive things, for the good things, is like Teflon. Do you understand these two words, Velcro and Teflon? Velcro is the sticky, you know, the things that when you close something, it sticks. And when you open it and it remains open, every little dirt sticks on it. Yeah, and then from even you put it in the washing machine, it doesn't come out. You have to go with a needle to kind of fish it out. So that's what we're doing. We fish out with a needle, we fish out the negative things. Yeah, we start to see our habits. And then it's really important that we don't judge, and we create some compassion for ourselves and say, wow, this is why I feel anxious and tight and despaired, and, you know, I can't live my potential of open heart, loving kindness, and so on. Yeah. Seeing these things is not so, is okay. Seeing that we are kind of concentrating on the negative all the time, but then not doing anything about it, then it becomes harmful. Yeah. But if you actively go say, okay, you know, put a sticker on your fridge or whatever, and say, once a day, I'm thinking about something that I can be grateful for. Well, grateful is such a, oh, I don't like the word grateful, because it's always children who hear it, you know, it's like, you should be grateful that you have something to eat, but, you know, when you don't want to eat your whatever you don't like. But what we can be joyful about, maybe joyful is a better word than grateful. Grateful, feel, you know, I always feel guilty that I'm not grateful enough, but joyful to think how wonderful. And the best way it works, not so much when you concentrate on what you have, but when you start imagining how it would be if you don't have it. And especially if you have been in situations when you didn't have it, remembering that situation. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because this whole thing, you know, about thinking I have this and I have this and I have this and I have this. One thing is it reminds us of our childhood, definitely me. And then I feel guilty that I'm not going around the world and feeling happy all the time because I have such a good existence. And then again, you know, my autonomous I takes over and tells me how bad I am and blocks all the space in my heart. Yeah, I prefer not to say the ego, because with ego, we don't know what it is really. Yeah, but this kind of seemingly self-existent I, but it's a long word to say every time. So that takes over, feels guilty, and then we feel bad about ourselves. And the moment we feel bad about ourselves, the world appears like really bad. Yeah. So this is a bit how it works. Seeing that our mind kind of sticks to the negative things, it shouldn't make us depressed, because we're here to change, isn't it? I mean, this is why we study these things. That's the purpose. That's why we use these verses. So if you, instead of just running through them and then forgetting them again, pick out a few that seem meaningful to you, especially the one with the rejoicing. Like for me, I told you already, I don't know how many times, for me is verse 28 in the, maybe I think it's in the second chapter, when it says, like a blind man finds a diamond in a heap of rubbish, to an idiot, selfish idiot like me, the interest in bodhicitta has arisen. Yeah? Do you understand the meaning of this? You know, that a blind man finds a diamond in a heap of rubbish is very unlikely, but it could happen. Why not? But it's quite unlikely. So it's quite unlikely to a selfish idiot like me, which I was until I was about 40, until I heard this for the first time. I thought it was totally okay. You are nasty to the people you don't like, and you are kind of manipulating and nice to the ones you like. And when they are not nice to you anymore, then you go and find somebody else. I mean, this is how I was living. You know, and because maybe it's a chance, maybe it's a disadvantage, I don't know, because I have this, for me, advantage that I can very happily live alone, then I didn't need to have friends, but still I had, you know. I didn't have as many as I have now because I have a Facebook account. It's like, you know, it was my birthday yesterday. I spent the whole day kind of saying thank you for the good wishes, which was nice. I'm not saying it wasn't nice, but I'm happy I don't have a birthday every day. So anyway, so I am so happy that I understood this is not the right way to go about. I'm very happy, you know. But I could also, not having done that course, when I saw the poster in Kathmandu, and I felt a bit bored, and I thought, yeah, okay, maybe I can do a meditation course. Why not? You know, and I did it for very selfish reasons, because then I thought, if I ever go back to Switzerland, because I had been away for 3.5 years, traveling around and just, you know, just hanging out, just having a good, seemingly good time. So I thought, if I ever go back to Switzerland, at least I can say I meditated. That was my motivation for my first meditation course in Copan. So there you go. You know, even if your motivation is not quite pure, the main thing is that you do it. This is it. The main thing is that we do something about it, but reasonable, not pushing, kind, but kind in a way, pushing enough. You know, not just saying, oh, everything is okay. Yeah. And this is where awareness comes in, to really understand how our mind works, and how the state of my mind is very dependent on what I think. In the reflection that we did, you know, we did some, just, I let you just sit, and then I told you to think about your values and about your potential. What happened? What happened in your mind state? Did anything change when you just watched the breath, or was it the same?
I became a bit more calm.
Mm-hmm.
And also when I reflected on my potential and the fact that I can become better and more of benefit, maybe made me feel joyful in a way, or
Yeah, exactly.
feeling warm inside.
Yeah. Exactly. You know, same way when we kind of are standing in front of a difficult task, and then we go, oh my gosh, this is so difficult. Will I ever be able to do that? Ugh. Then even if we don't even begin. But then when we go like, yes, I can do this, you know, and we take examples. This is why it's so important to have examples. This is why it's so important to know who the Buddha is, who Shakyamuni Buddha is, you know, to see how much he endured, you know, 6 years of asceticism where he was just like this, and we get stuck in our complaints. Okay, so yeah. So just to hear the word bodhicitta and just to find it something worthwhile doing, I mean, this is so valuable. Yeah. Do we more or less agree on this, or, you know, your life has so much meaning if you only have the motivation, the intention of benefiting others. And I mean, how many people have this? And you are one of them. I mean, isn't that wonderful? Yeah. You remember the week before, the homework was that you are praising yourself. Did you do it? No. Okay. So important. Okay, let's continue with the verses, because that also has to do with bodhicitta. So, if I wish for all sentient beings to become Buddhas, worship throughout the 3 realms, like now we worship the Buddha or we praise the Buddhas, then why I am tormented when I see them receiving mere mundane respect? You remember it was the verses before was about praise, when we get jealous or we get angry, yeah, because we think they don't deserve it, okay? So then he says, if a relative for whom I am caring, like say you children, and to whom I must give many things, should be able to find his own livelihood, wouldn't I be happy rather than to be angry? Okay, so kind of he's telling us, if you have developed bodhicitta, I think this is, what this text is all about. And then you get angry when somebody is just having mere mundane happiness, then your mind is starting to get confused. Yeah. So if you want to lift these values, but then you allow your mind without antidotes to kind of go against these values, or if you have an occasion to be able to, opla, you disappeared. Are you still here? Yeah. What is this? Okay. If you have an occasion to train it and we don't, and we run away, then, you know, we get even more confused than before. So we have to be quite clear. What do I really want? Yeah. So now we have to look at the word bodhicitta, because maybe not everybody knows what bodhicitta is. Can somebody tell me what bodhicitta is? Tom, yeah?
Bodhicitta is the aspiration, or is the aspiration like the yearning or the mindset state that yearns for all sentient beings to be free of suffering and have sustainable happiness, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's compassion. That's not bodhicitta. It's compassion. You need compassion to have bodhicitta. What is missing? What Tom said. Are we able to do this as an ordinary human being? Are we able to spontaneously, uninterruptedly, and what's the third one? Effortlessly work for the benefit of all sentient beings? Are we just maybe able to rejoice when somebody is happy, as it says here, you know? And thinking, you know, we have this wish to help. I mean, I see that when you ask questions sometimes, And when you say, well, I have this person, that the person is not well, and they have this problem, what should I do? And then I say, well, it's not about solving other people's problem. It's first of all about solving your own problem, and it's not about learning methods how to help others. It's first learning methods how to help ourselves. So when you ask these questions, for me, it is a sign that you have a wish to help others. It's a natural, normal human thing. When we ourselves, we are well. The problem is that we forget about this when we are not well, and we always think, oh, first I have to look after myself. In a way, it's true, but not for the rest of your life. Yeah. So which part is missing so that that compassion becomes bodhicitta?
Maybe the enlightened mind.
Meaning
pure mind or fully developed mind. The bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, which is known.
Exactly. I have to become enlightened in order to be able to be of benefit to all. So you have these two goals in bodhicitta, and this is what we forget sometimes. Yeah, we just think, oh, it's just about helping others, but we as ordinary beings, we cannot. So this is why sometimes the steps that we want to make are far too big, because we're not going through this method of developing bodhicitta. So you want to be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, but not for your own sake, but in order to be of benefit to others. So yes, first is this whole thing, I want to be of benefit to all others, and it is really all others. Nobody excluded. If you exclude one, it's not bodhicitta. Then you just have compassion, which is very nice for some sentient beings, maybe for many. But if you want to call it bodhicitta, it has to be all beings. So now, the question is that I'm asking you, do you really want this? Tom is nodding, me also, I want this. Why? Because it's also good for me. Again, with your awareness, and this is again, I know that I must be getting on your nerves when I constantly say how important awareness is. Because when you have awareness, you are not identifying with your negative sides. You are just watching them. And then they can transform. This is the thing. Whereas if you just go into them and you don't have this ability to make the step out of it and to watch them, they cannot transform. This is the thing. And then we become the negative emotion or whatever. So when we start to see with awareness what anger does to me, we had quite a few arguments where people were saying, actually, I don't see them anymore. So maybe they didn't like to hear what I was saying, which is fine. If your mind is not happy with what you hear, much better to stop. This is totally okay. These are very difficult methods. And, there's other methods to be happy, like whatever, I don't know. I don't want to be disrespectful to these people. I think it's really wise. Enlightenment of sentient beings, please correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, you want them not just to be happy, but you want all of them to be enlightened. And for that, you understand that you have to attain enlightenment yourself. Yeah. Then you can call it bodhicitta, or as Netta was saying, the enlightened mind. Already when you say the enlightened mind has both aspects in it. I want to attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. Or if you want to put it the other way around, if I want to benefit all sentient beings, if I'm serious about wanting to benefit all sentient beings, I cannot allow myself to remain ordinary with liking those and disliking those and this and that. I saw Glenn Swenson was teaching on the Four Immeasurables. Have you heard about them? Do you know what they are? would somebody like to explain to me how you developed the Four Immeasurables and why they are called the Four Immeasurables? Okay, so they're called the Four Immeasurables because you learn to include in your love, compassion, joy, and equanimity all sentient beings. Yeah, not reacting towards sentient beings with either attachment, aversion, or indifference. And you start with yourself by thinking, may I be happy. Then you take a friend where it comes easy. May that friend be happy. And then again, with your awareness, you check your mind state and you go like, oh, as Tom was saying, exactly. Oh, I feel more calm. Oh, I feel, more joyful. Oh, this is what I want. Where does it come from? Because my heart is open. Yeah, this is how it works. Then you go to a stranger. Then you go slowly to somebody that you slightly dislike. Yeah. So that's the method. That's the structure. But if we kind of jump from wanting to help all sentient beings without going to this structure, then we will most probably fail. Yeah. So in order to be able to develop bodhicitta, like these verses, all these verses that we were looking at, all of them, oops, that's not the right one. All of them have to do with bodhicitta. You see when it says here, having generated the awakening mind, sometimes the bodhicitta is called like this, the mind who aspires to become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings, like having generated the awakening mind through wishing all beings to be happy. So you see, it goes this way, right? So through wishing, first wishing all beings to be happy, then understanding at the moment, I am pretty powerless, so I need to become a Buddha. Yeah, so then you have these two aspirations. And then he says, but I have this aspiration, so why should I become angry if they find some happiness themselves, like being jealous when they get some praise, as it said in the previous verses. Then the reason for that is, if I wish for all sentient beings to become Buddhas worship throughout the three realms, because the Buddha receives, the enlightened beings, they receive a lot of respect. Then why I am tormented when I see them receiving mere mundane respect? Yeah. If I want to see them happy, somebody else is making them happy. I don't have to do anything. So why am I getting upset? I mean, come on, what's wrong with me? Yeah, you ask yourself, am I serious with this bodhicitta wanting all beings to be happy? Or am I maybe subconsciously excluding some? Yeah. And then the reason he says is like, if a relative for whom I'm caring and to whom I must give many things should be able to find his own livelihood, wouldn't I be happy rather than angry? Like if, wanting to become a Buddha, here's another chat, maybe I should read it. No, that's fine. So wanting to become a Buddha, you take upon yourself the responsibility to free all beings from their suffering and the causes of suffering. This is what a Bodhisattva does. Yeah. When you do this structured method, at the end, you come to the conclusion very firm, I by myself alone will lead all sentient beings to that state. Even if nobody else wants to do it, I will do it. Yeah. So that means you feel the responsibility to make people happy, not just like out of, oh yeah, that's a nice thing to do. And why? Why do you have this responsibility from bodhicitta? And we talked about this also so many times. Maybe I didn't call it like this. Are we decent human beings if we only look after our own happiness?
Well, first we have to give loving kindness to ourselves.
Huh?
We have to give loving kindness to ourselves.
Yeah, that's fine. But we're already at bodhicitta now, we've already made the step into bodhicitta, and we're asking ourselves, Why does bodhicitta make sense?
Because you want to benefit all beings. When I speak,
Why?
I try.
Why do you want to benefit all
So
sentient?
they will be happy. They
No.
can find some happiness a little bit.
Yeah, but why?
Because we are dependent each other.
Thank you very much. Because we receive so much kindness from them, you know, like every second, a whole army of people have to do their work in order for you to wear your clothes and your glasses and eat your food and live in a house and have a heater and have shoes and have an education, have a computer. You know, the list is endless. We owe it to them, not just because it's a nice thing to do, but because we owe it to them. Okay? And this is why we don't feel happy. Because deep down, I think our consciousness understands, hey, what you're doing, just working for your own happiness, this is not, you know, spontaneously, we are first. Yeah, it's also, it's a very good thing to see that it is like that. If you have children, maybe not, but in general, this is how it is. So then we go like, yeah, I want to repay that kindness that I received life after life after life after life, day after day after day after. What's the best way to repay that kindness? Is to lead them to a state which is free from all suffering. Who can do this? Only somebody who knows how to get there. How do I get there? By first, as Serpa was saying very well, being kind to myself, so that I become a non-nutnik, yeah. And being kind to ourselves is being ethical, not harming anybody. That is being very kind to yourself. Working with your anger is being very kind to yourself. You know, working with your self-cherishing mind with these verses here, and you know, seeing how unreasonable and how indecent actually this self-cherishing mind is. And this is very nice meditation that His Holiness the Dalai Lama is always recommending us to do so. So, you know, you take yourself as one person and you take the rest of the beings this side, and you think, you know, you're watching both. Here is so many, and here's just one. And this one here is putting so much effort into his or her own happiness. What would you think about that person? Look, like absolutely not concerned about all the others there. And he doesn't even say, all these others are working for that person, you know? What would you think about this?
I have to accept where they're at, and send them loving kindness, or maybe Tang Lin, if I'm in contact with them physically. I have to accept where they're at, because if you try to impose, they resist.
Well,
you have to set example. You set example and
yeah.
listen to them. You have to listen to their happiness, their unhappiness.
But you see, it's good to see where we stand. Do you think you're not selfish? Like, I'm not asking you, sir, but I'm thinking, I'm asking everybody else. Huh?
I don't think I'm not. I can see
Okay.
from my experience is that it comes around. It's still there.
Yeah, but like spontaneously, we always first think about ourselves, you know? I mean, if it's hot, we are trying to find a place in the shade, even if somebody else would need it more than I do. You know, if we go on a train, we want a good seat. If the seat is broken, we get up and go and look for another one. And then somebody else will have to sit on. We do this very spontaneously, and we think it's normal. I'm just talking about small things.
Yeah. Well, I became aware of many things like that in India. So now when it comes up, I do the opposite.
Okay, so if you already solved the problem, we don't need to discuss. But you know, you're just one person. I am teaching these things to people like me, who still see that I am very selfish. When somebody comes into my face that I dislike, I am not interested in their well-being so much anymore, quite honestly. And this is the first step, that we have to be honest.
Yeah.
You know? And so if you think you're not selfish, that's fine. I rejoice, and I'm not being selfish.
I said I am. because the first thought that comes is make myself comfortable. But then I'm
Exactly.
aware of it.
Exactly.
I'm
So
aware
this is what I mean. So we start
And
to
I'm-
change this, you know.
Yeah.
We start to change this, and we think, okay, I'll stay here, and or I give my seat to somebody else, or this and that. Again, if you are old and you're having physical problems, of course you're not doing things like that. You do at the beginning whatever you can. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And then you start to see the benefit of this whole thing, you know. Okay.
Anila.
Anila,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Mm.
You said about the motivation, or why do we have to help all sentient beings? And because
don't
we
have
owe
to.
them so
No,
much.
wait.
No, have we want.
Yeah.
But also you said because we owe them,
Mhm.
because we're dependent on them, and we owe them so much. And I was wondering if only if we see them as is, as we are interdependent, as we are one big net, or it's like, and when we see it, maybe without a selfish mind, things as they are, so the responsibility won't come up. Not a matter of owe or not owe. It's like our own body. We are responsible to our hand and to our legs, and because this is it.
Yeah, if we see reality, if we understand how dependent we are on everybody, and that everybody has been kind to us in one of our previous lives, whatever, then we act like now when we really understand it. At the moment, we understand it for a few beings. Yeah. Like when you start to see that you're depending on, I don't know, your boss for your job, or your house lord to be in your apartment, or whatever, we behave differently with these people. Yeah, because but then again, you know, you can behave differently with these people because you have to. This is why I cut you when you said we have to. And I would really like that we change it for we want to. But it's easier to want to be kind to somebody when we see how dependent we are on them. If we have to, it's no good, because then it's poison. Because then then we only do it as long as they're really of benefit to us. But I'm using these examples so that you can see what it does to us when we understand how dependent we are on somebody. Like, for example, when I come to Israel, I always live in somebody else's house. So I depend on them to host me. So I behave in a, I hope, kind of nice way. And I'm not making demands, saying, oh, I want this and I want this and this I don't like and this and that. It comes very spontaneously because I know, well, excuse me, they're giving you shelter. So why would you ask for something? Do you see what I mean?
Does it come up spontaneously, or
Yeah.
just you feel like you owe them? It's different state of mind. Just realizing emptiness or the dependency, does it come up
I like it.
spontaneously?
Okay. No.
It's a Polish way of thinking. I owe them, or guilt, or
wait. I like to think I owe them, because when I know I owe something, I want to repay that debt in order to feel free.
Mhm.
So this whole thing about owning, it's not, for me, it's not a bad thing. When I know I have a debt, then I want to repay that debt. You know, how do you like to pay bills? Yes, no? Just maybe, well, now it's not so much anymore. I used to have a restaurant, so one pays the bills at the end of the month, and we had paper bills, and it was in a drawer, you know, so it would stack up. Then at the end of the month, I would, calculate. I would go to the post office. This is how it was in ancient times, with cash money, under my arm, 10,000, 20,000 francs. And I would walk with this to the post office and stack it all in, at the counter in front of the person. And the feeling when I came home, even though I knew the drawer was empty, I would open it, look into it, and feel like, it's a good feeling when you can repay your debts. And also, like paying bills, paying bills can be very pleasant, actually. When you understood or when you understand what you get because you're paying the bill. Of course, only if you have the money, that's true. If you don't have the money to pay your bills, it's horrible, you know. But it is a bit like this, you know, when I start to understand that I own it to them, I want to pay, and I'm very happy if they let me pay. Does it make sense? Or no?
Anila,
Yeah.
I see it, or I feel that it can be sold to us in another way. I'm more.
I don't want to sell anything to you.
Yeah, but that's my job. I'm learning how to sell. So, but to sell ourselves. But what I mean is, I take from what you say. I'm connected much more to that. We gain a lot. It's not because we owe. And of course, it's nice and it makes us feel free to pay bills or to pay what we owe. But more, I think we gain a lot from being good to other people. But not just good, not good like ordinary good or in any case good in the things that makes us happy, because I feel that when I'm making someone else happy in a kind of way that I'm good at making, or that I'm becoming happier myself. I'm getting I'm growing, I'm becoming more feeling good, and even not healing. I feel like it heals me to do someone else, but it has to connect with something I need to heal in myself, I think.
Yeah, we can. I mean, this is the thing, you know, maybe you don't need to make the step that you own something. I need to make the step, I own something, and then I pay, and then I'm free. Or as you say, I feel good. Yeah. So of course, at the end, as Netta was saying, you know, at the end, when you train this, you don't need these thoughts anymore. And you do it very spontaneously. Yeah. But what you really, when you develop bodhicitta, you go through this whole thing that all beings have been kind to me. This is a very, very powerful meditation, by the way. Yeah. But then again, as I said to Sigal, you know, if you just sit with this thing, I owe it to them, then it makes you very unhappy. But if you do something about paying the debt, then it will make you happy that you are able to pay the debt. And developing bodhicitta is a very good way to pay the debt. Kind of developing bodhicitta to think, one day I will not only give you healing, or, you know, healing the body or whatever, or give you food or give you kindness. One day I will be able to lead you to a state which is totally free from all suffering. Yeah. This is how we then make connection with people. So for bodhicitta,
Anila.
Yeah, just I think I want to say that, and then you can say yeah. So, you know, we need to see the benefit of the bodhicitta mind, and so it's good to study that again and again and again and again. So the steps, just so that you know, there's two methods how to develop bodhicitta. So one method from Shantideva is, which then we will encounter as when we come to chapter 8, is exchanging oneself for others. And in order to be able to do that, you know, first we create equanimity, and that's so difficult to admit that everybody has a right to be happy. Nobody has more rights than the other one to be happy, you know. And people should be happy so that they can stop harming others. If only we understand this. Not the happiness from harming others, but as a kind of healthy happiness, a happiness that comes from being kind to each other, a happiness that comes from being ethical, the happiness that comes, as Hadar is saying, from being able to do something for somebody else, that kind of happiness, yeah? So this is the first step, is equanimity. So we're not discriminating anymore. This one I like, this one I dislike, and this one I'm not interested in. I mean, we still discriminate. This takes a long time to realize this, yeah? But first we need to see how we discriminate, how we behave totally differently to somebody we like, to somebody we dislike, and to somebody that we're not interested in. Totally different, yeah? So these are very special meditations and methods, which is in the Four Immeasurables, how to develop that equanimity, yeah? And equanimity is like, you know, when you have a field and the field is full of stones, the seeds are not inside yet, and the field is full of stones, and some places are very high and some places are very low, and you try to put the seeds like this, you know, it's not going to work. So you need to even out the seed, the field first, and you need to take out the stones. So this is when we start to train in equanimity, yeah? The next step is to see the disadvantage of cherishing yourself. To see the disadvantage when you are very, very selfish. And for that, because it's very difficult to see it in ourselves, but it's good to kind of to watch a person that is very selfish. And to really check, is this person happy? Even though every time they get what they want, do I really think that they're happy? We still don't feel it. And then slowly, you start to experiment with yourself, you know, maybe for 1 week, you only do things that are good for yourself. For the next week, you do things that are good for others. And then you check. You check. Or you can see it in children also. When kids are very selfish and fighting for everything that they want, and they get it, but they're not happy. They never have enough. Where other kids are more calm and say, yeah, okay, you can have it. Then they're not nutniks. They're happy. So we start to see in a very gentle way, not judging yourself, but with compassion, the disadvantage of cherishing self. Because every time we do an unethical action, the self-cherishing is there. It's all based on me. I do this because I don't like the person, or I think they're not doing the right thing, or because I think this is too expensive, so I steal it, you know, like this. Every time we act in an unethical way, the self-cherishing is standing behind it. I'm more important than others. So when we start to see the disadvantage of being like this, in a very kind of reason, in a very, how to say, in a very sober way without judging ourselves, then we go like, okay, what can I do about this? And then is the next step. We start to think about the kindness of others. And by thinking about the kindness of others, as Tom was saying, the heart opens, there's less nutnik, there's more wanting to give in a very spontaneous way. And also, you know, if somebody is very kind to me and I cannot repay that kindness, I feel uncomfortable. When somebody is constantly giving me, and I can't give anything back, very naturally, I start to feel the imbalance in this whole thing. And as you know, and I'm not just talking about material things. I'm talking about benevolence, you know, benevolence, like being kind to the person, being considerate about the person, being there when the person needs me to listen to me or to listen to her, whatever. That is also giving, okay? It's not just material things. Do you remember with the 6 perfections, generosity, the things that you can give? With what you practice generosity? The easiest things, material things, is the easiest to give away. The second, giving protection, meaning not harming them. Already not harming them is protecting them. And the third one is giving them dharma, but that, you know, giving them methods how they can be happier. This one we love, you know, in the six perfections, it comes at the end that this is the most difficult, but we're so ready to tell people what they should do, isn't it? So, so I don't know why this seems to be the most difficult thing. You know, we want to give them dharma, not in order to manipulate them. And also they have to ask for it. We're not kind of throwing it on them. But these are the objects that you can practice generosity with. Yeah. But now when you are trying to give some person dharma, and when you see their reaction, and every time you tell them something really beautiful and very wise and very beneficial, but they immediately get angry, then please stop. Because this is not going to be of any benefit. Okay? Yeah. So that's the next step. So it's like really very consciously thinking about how much kindness we receive from others all the time. Yeah. And then the interest. First, then we see, okay. So we challenge our ego and we say, okay, now you think your happiness is more important than somebody else's happiness. Give me one valid reason for this. Why is Losang's happiness more important than Zopa's happiness? Why? There's no reason.
It's not.
Huh?
It's not.
Exactly. You don't even find one good reason for this, but still we act like this as if there's hundreds of reasons for that. Yeah. So we start to challenge these views with these methods of developing bodhicitta. You know, we start to go against our habits. And then slowly, we start to equalize ourselves with others. Okay. Other people's happiness is just as important as mine. Now, you know, I am very good at kind of going through this structure, but I'm not saying that I'm capable of doing this. I'm still very much in training. Okay. I just know the method, how to develop that. And I try to apply it, but it takes a long time until it works. But I can see that it starts working, and it's good for me, as you say, also. Okay, so then we start to equalizing ourselves for others, and then the last step is that we start to exchange ourselves for others, and we do what Zopa was saying, for example, Tonglen. So we train first in meditation to take the suffering of somebody else and to give our good things. Then we will be able to do this also happily out in the world, giving the good seed to somebody else, giving the place in the shade to somebody else, even though we're hot. And we're very happy when we see that they're very comfortable. But for this, wow, we need a lot of training. Because if you give something and then you're happy or unhappy about having given it, there's no point giving it. So first we do this in meditation. You know, we rewire the neurons. If I make mistakes with these neuroscience things, please correct me, okay? But we can rewire the neurons with these thoughts. Instead of spontaneously first looking after myself, then I will look after others. Now again, that's the attitude. But sometimes it's not practical. So this is why when you are in an aeroplane and there is not enough oxygen, they tell you first put on your own mask. And this is why first we look after ourselves by being ethical and not having negative karma so that we can be harmed. Yeah, looking after ourselves comes in the first part of the Lam Rim. Yeah, studying about karma. Then when we have this, then we go to Bodhichitta. Now, Zopa, I'm sorry, I have to, because Yael wanted to ask a question, and also we only have 7 minutes left. So can we ask, Zopa, can we ask Yael, ask her, or tell us what you wanted to say? It's okay?
It's okay, I got my answer, so Zopa can ask.
Okay, so Zopa, what did you want to say?
Sila, Sila is actually
Yeah.
taught first before meditation.
Sila is the best way to look after ourselves.
Yeah. In the East, it's taught before meditation.
Yeah. Ethical
I don't
conduct. It comes in the Lamrim, it comes in the first stages there.
Oh, yeah,
Thinking about karma. Okay?
but I know from my experience, I started reverse. I started with meditation first, so then everything.
That's fine. That's okay.
Nothing changed.
Okay. So in order to then, you know, we are able to exchange ourselves for others. And then we say, okay, others first, when we are ready to do that. So just to kind of be able to develop bodhicitta, and it's a high realization, having bodhicitta. I mean, I am not even at the first level. I mean, it's like, you know, I am very inspired by this whole thing. And I want to be able to develop, I want to be able to have it, but I'm not able to live it. I'm not a bodhisattva, you know, but I want to be one. So this is my goal. I'm trying to go in that direction. Every time I see that, again, the self-cherishing took over, you know, I can, without judging myself, I can just see it and say, come on, you know, you can do better than this. And slowly, it starts working. Yeah. And I tell you, I'm quite happy that, again, I have one person in my life that has appeared that I feel uncomfortable with. This is great, because otherwise, you know, I can't practice. I can't see where I am. Then I think I'm a very kind person, because nobody pushes my buttons. And then I'm very consciously, you know, I have to pull myself together when I talk to her, when I communicate with her, this and this. And it's great, because that's the practice. Instead of running away, you know, it's like, I'm not really grateful yet, but instead of running away, at least I see I have an object of practice. And she's not that bad. I mean, she's not harming me or whatever. She's just getting on my nerves. Yeah. So like this. So in order to be able to benefit bodhicitta, we need to see the benefit of it. This is why I'm saying I'm not trying to sell something. You need to see the benefit of it. Okay? You need to make the decision to say, this is something that I would like to be able to do spontaneously, uninterruptedly, and effortlessly. The same way as you look after your children. You know, when your children are small, if you don't feel responsible for them, you're not looking after them properly. Yeah. And you have a responsibility, and then you behave according to that responsibility. You know, you have much more patience to play with your children for hours and hours and hours, these silly games, than me, you know. Me, after 1 hour, my patience is finished. But you can do this for many years, playing the same games with them, letting them win so that they are happy and all this. Wonderful. Why? Because you love them. With responsibility also comes love. Yeah. So seeing the benefit of bodhicitta, then devotion to the Buddha. You know, devotion to the Buddha, having faith and trust that one is able to attain that state. Yes, Joyce, I saw your hand. Just a moment. I finish with what we need in order to develop bodhicitta, and then Dalit, I read your thing here. Then we need to see the suffering of others and ourselves, not just the suffering, but also the causes of suffering. Then we need the inspiration of a person who has bodhicitta. Like, for example, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, my teacher, Kirti Tsenja Rinpoche, maybe other people that you know. Don't take me as a role model. I don't have bodhicitta. I still have anger. I still like and dislike people. I am working on it, but sometimes I don't succeed. Then what else do we need? Being able to bear the hardships of this path, because your ego will rebel again and again and again and again. Yeah, this is why the Buddha taught 2 vehicles. He actually taught 3, but 2, the first ones are kind of the same. So we call it Theravadin, or now it's called the Pali tradition, or Mahayana, which is called the Sanskrit tradition. So in in the Pali tradition, you only work for your self-liberation. It's good enough. In the Mahayana tradition, if you want to call yourself a Mahayanist and you want to develop Bodhichitta, then you need to be able to bear the hardships of that path. Okay, so these are the things that you need. Seeing the benefit of it, knowing the Buddha's teachings and having faith and trust that you can develop your mind to its highest potential, that all negativities will be eradicated. Never ever coming back, all attachment, all anger, all wrong views, all jealousy, all depression, all arrogance, all miserliness, all fear, totally gone. So we need to have trust that we have that potential, not just admiring the Buddha, but that we also have that potential. And then seeing your own suffering and the causes of suffering and suffering of others, and then the inspiration of somebody who is living that mind, you know, and we're very lucky with the Tibetans to see it. Not everybody, be careful. The Tibetans don't have bodhicitta in their genes, okay? But some have developed it, especially the older masters, and now also the younger ones, I think. I don't know the younger ones so well, but I knew some of the older masters directly, personally. You know, and that's inspiring. Sometimes I sat like behind them or next to them. I was going like, I want to be like them. You know, and not putting myself down, but being really inspired. And then what else? Being able to bear the hardships on this path. Okay, Joy, what did you want to ask? And then we will finish. Or what did you want to say?
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much. I just want to ask you about what kind about the enable about the unbalance and like confused for what I feel about the to receive and have, because I have this kind of feeling with this kind of situation last year, that it was very hard and difficult situation about my jobs, and I really badly needed financially, and there is a family, one of my old lady before, that their family, their son really helped me a lot. And I come to the point that the help that they gives me, it's like that, I really felt like I really not comfortable to accept it,
Yeah.
because I felt what I'm trying to ask is, because he is the one that I really want to know what kind of meditation I should give, that not to feel that kind of feeling.
Bodhicitta. This is it. This is it. I mean,
Yeah.
you cannot repay their material kindness, but you can say, wow, I want to become a Buddha, and I will lead you to that state as well, so that you're totally free from all suffering. That's it. Now, this can be a total excuse, you know, and totally fake, or it can be genuine. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then at least, you know, also you don't have to repay that kindness to these people. You can repay the kindness to somebody else. It doesn't have to be these same people.
Yeah, the feeling
But
is with
if
the
you
people
can,
that
I mean, no, Joyce, wait, because we don't have that much time left. If you can repay the kindness directly, that's fine. That's okay. It's nothing against that. But if you can't, because they don't need it, or they don't want it, they don't want to see you anymore, because sometimes also some people don't want to see us. So then, you know, repaying the kindness when we feel that somebody doesn't want to see us is we keep out of their face. And we're not going nutniki kind of, but I want to do something, but let me do the. No, when we see that it's getting on their nerves, we leave them alone. That is also kindness.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I have this feeling that I'm ashamed to accept again and again and again.
Joyce, people were able to help you because you have the positive karma that you can be helped. That's it. That you have created through being kind to others in previous lives. And then also it makes people happy. It creates positive karma for other people to help you. Yeah, so try to have a little bit of broader picture of this whole thing.
Thank you
And
so
then,
much.
you know, developing bodhicitta. Okay, Dalit gave me a whole explanation here. Thank you. So developing bodhicitta is like, that's the best way you can repay the kindness of others. If you are working at your ego-centered mind, then we don't have to be ashamed anymore. You see, and everybody can develop bodhicitta. A man, a woman, a well-instructed, or somebody who didn't even go to school, a fat person, a thin person, a rich person, a poor person. You don't need any diplomas. You don't need to be married. You don't need to have children. You can have children. You can be married. Everybody. That's why it's such a beautiful thing, this bodhicitta, even though it's difficult, you know, but it makes so much sense.
Thank you so much, Manila. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah, stop feeling guilty. It's no point, you know, it just blocks us. So keep thinking about the good things that you do to others again and again and again and again.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so homework, what kind of homework shall we do? Well, bodhicitta. Yeah, maybe read up on bodhicitta. Yeah, maybe even in Hebrew if it's easier for you. Then try to find these two methods of developing bodhicitta, and then look where you are. You know, where do I stand with my bodhicitta? Or just this first step. Do I see the benefit of developing bodhicitta? Yeah.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. Thank
Do you
so
think
much.
do you think that's doable? It's actually easier than to look at your own mind, but keep rejoicing. Keep rejoicing that you have access to these wonderful teachings, because without bodhicitta, you will never attain the state of being absolutely free from all suffering and the causes of suffering, and be able to help others. Without bodhicitta, with studying Buddhism, you will be able to attain your own self-liberation, but you will not have the skills of a fully enlightened being. You will become an arhat. Okay? Is it clear? Is that okay?
Thank you so much.
Again, you know, if you want to do it, you do it, and because the more you know about bodhicitta, the more you will understand these verses. The more these verses will make sense to you. Okay? But then still maybe a practical thing to do, yeah, rejoicing, you know, rejoice about the good things that you do, please. When you see yourself in the mirror in the morning, you go, hello, darling, how are you? I wish you a very, very good day from the bottom of your heart. Okay? Okay, so we dedicate all the positive energy that we have created by talking about bodhicitta, because that's a lot. And so that we are able to understand the potential of our mind, that we are able to understand that what we see is not real, is not true, it is not true, that we are totally stuck in our misconceptions, and that our birthright would be to be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And by these wonderful methods, which are difficult to practice, I do admit, we will and we might be able to get there. So again, you know, loving kindness, may I be safe, protected from physical and mental harm. And say these words until you have an experience, a sensation in the middle of your body, in your heart, until your heart opens up. And only then you go to others. May I be safe, protected from physical and mental harms. If you start crying, it's a good sign. Give yourself the permission to be safe and happy. May I be well, healthy, free from fear, loving and peaceful. We direct the mind to that goal through these methods. May I be free from fear, loving, peaceful, healthy, and well. May I be able to live my life with whatever comes but with joy and ease. Everything is so much easier when you're joyful. And please don't use that sentence, how can I be joyful in such a world? By rejoicing, by being generous, by rejoicing in your ethical conduct, by rejoicing in your practicing or studying the Buddha Dharma, by rejoicing in your generosity, by having humor, we can be joyful. By becoming lighter, we can be joyful. So then that finally, when we are free from fear, loving, peaceful, joyful, we can lead all other sentient beings to that state as well. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And this is the greatest equanimity. All beings have Buddha nature because everybody's mind by nature is pure, no matter how deluded and how bad you are. Can you please start trusting your own potential? Please. Yeah, I can't force you. I can only beg you. And think about the good things that you are doing. You will become such a relaxed and easy to be with person. If you constantly wallow in your guilt that you're not good enough, you're such a pain in the neck for yourself and for everybody else. Grow up. You are all wonderful people. Please believe me. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting here. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being such wonderful people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Very much.
So much. So much.
Stay healthy and stay well.
תודה רבה.
Thank you.
And be
Thank
joyful.
you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Dalit, for the explanation. I will read it again before I go. Wait. From my biology, the brain is made. Yeah, exactly. Well, not exactly. There's the nervous system and there is the brain. So there's two things. Anyway, I'll go more into this.
All right.
But it's good to study neuroscience because then the Dharma becomes more graspable, actually. It starts to make sense. The only thing is I always have problems when I don't agree with what neuroscience says. Then I tend to go to the Buddhist view. Okay, Tom, I'm going. Don't worry.
No, it's okay. Actually, I have many things to say about neuroscience, but maybe some other time.
Did you study it or?
I am studying it actually.
Okay. So